All right, welcome to the Sae Bae cast number 257 with 10 boot. 10 boot, how are we doing today?
I'm doing good today, Sae Bae. How are you? Good to be here.
Doing pretty good. I'm excited, man. And you just told me you're an active Sae Bae cast listener, so that's it
Yeah,
always
yeah, of
warms my
course. Yeah,
heart. Love that.
it's an honor to be here, man. Thanks for the invite. Like you say, I listen every morning on my way to work. So yeah, it's surreal being here. I'm not gonna lie to you, buddy.
Hell yeah. I guess to start off, I just want to get a brief introduction of who you are, kind of maybe your play style in OSRS, and then a little bit of your content creation journey getting to where you are right now.
Yeah, for sure. So I've played kind of RuneScape on and off, like probably a lot of people listening since since the old school days, right? Like 2005. I came back when old school like first came out, but I was kind of very like to and fro, just doing a bit of skilling every now and again. I get bored of it for a few months. But yeah, I've always kind of been that kind of player who is like stuck in the mid game myself, always afraid to like kind of tackle bosses. And I got my it's going to sound like such a non-achievement to everyone here, but I got my fire cape about 2 years ago now, and that being a kid, right? The fire cape seems like such a like, crazy task to do. It's something I never thought I would do, and that kind of just sat me off on this love for like PvM and bossing and stuff. And it's been a slippery slope since. Like I'm going for the Colosseum right now. I started kind of this weekend, and Wave 8 is my PB, so I'm making some what I like to think is some pretty good progress. But yeah, I kind of neglect all my skills and just try and get as much kind of PVM as possible, like learn about the game, learn how things work. And I try and kind of share that knowledge with people as I learn it through my YouTube channel. So, I mean, from my perspective, because I've recently been learning this content, I'm not like a long time PVMer, right? So from my perspective, a lot of the content, like I love all the stuff like the crazy good guys put out. Like you watch a No Monkey video and he knows everything about the game. But like if you're a total noob watching that kind of stuff, I feel it can get a bit like overwhelming. So I try and almost like learn a piece of content and then help other players kind of learn from my mistakes is kind of my kind of philosophy, if you will, when it comes to putting out YouTube videos. I run a like a Discord server, right? As many creators do. But we're like super open to like taking people like through learners. Like I'm obviously like no absolutely cracked player myself, right? But I've got a massive mix of like complete noobs and people who are like, maxed infernal capers, right? And it's such like an open community. And one of the things that I think kind of has helped like really encourage people is like to see people go from like, dying kind of wave 10 on the Inferno to like getting an Infernal cape and like, we're all like live streaming it in like voice chat and whatever. And it's like, it's it's having players you can look up to, probably sounds a bit cringe, but like having players that kind of make things feel possible rather than just seeing people that are already in that like state of like they know everything already, right?
Mm-hmm. And I do feel like that's something easy to forget. Is just the fact that all players that have gotten to that point of just like, wow, like they're just an incredible player. They had to practice. They had to get to
Yeah.
that point. They didn't just like spawn good.
Yeah,
Except
exactly.
for maybe
Everyone starts
Wooks.
somewhere, right?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah, yeah.
Wooks was a little different. Probably some others now at this point too. I can't. I don't know if you've seen Wydega, his like 221 PB at Delve boss.
Yeah.
Just
I was watching him as I was trying to get my first or not watching him, but I was seeing him show up on Reddit, right? With his like screenshots and whatever. As I was going for my first wave 8 clear, and it was very humbling. I'm like, oh yeah, man, I'm good at RuneScape now. I can clear Delve 8, and it's just like, yeah, he's just done that 250 times unbroken or whatever. Yeah,
yeah,
insane, man. Different
he
level of gamer nowadays, right?
yeah, and it's kind of it'd be fun to watch the progression of him being a total noob getting to that point because yeah, it just doesn't feel like he was ever a noob. It's just like nah,
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
good from the get go. But who
Yeah,
knows?
I think there's like everyone has a bit of natural ability, and everyone's got like a natural skill ceiling, right? People do have like
Totally.
different aptitudes for different stuff, but I do think short of any physical disabilities, if you've got issues with your hands or whatever, you might have a bit of trouble, sure. But like, I think everyone's got the ability in them to get an infernal cape with enough time and practice, right?
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I mean, even like I remember Crippled Scape, rest in peace. He died
Oh
a
yeah,
few years ago, but yeah,
yeah.
I mean, he was completely. I mean, he was not able to play RuneScape normally. I think he was using. I'm trying to remember what his was. I think it was like something in his mouth that he had to use to like control,
Yeah,
like his cursor and
I
everything. But
remember. I never watched him, but I remember seeing it on Reddit when he passed away.
yeah, that was heartbreaking. But to see
Yeah, man.
him overcome a challenge like that, and he had worked on it for months. I mean, it was just a grueling grind to get to that point. It was insane. So him doing that was one of the most like legendary feats. I'm like, okay, if he can do it, like none of us have
Yeah,
any excuse.
yeah. Too right, man. Too right. It is really inspiring when you see people like that. Like, yeah, do
Yeah.
something that you think's impossible, right?
Yeah, it's really cool, the talent we have in this game, just the outright passion. It's really cool,
Yeah.
especially how delicate I feel like the devs have been with this game. Yes, like people could see the game kind of progressing relatively quickly, maybe recently, but it really does feel like there's this delicacy that has been very important to the game's progression. I mean, just to think the Inferno, just to throw that example out, that came out in 2017. That was 8 years ago, and it's still like the pinnacle of like PvM prowess or something. Just like it's what you do to show that you're a good gamer, and that's been in the game for 8 years, which is absolutely ridiculous to think. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think the Inferno is like a super specific case as well. Like you've got obviously the Colosseum, which is kind of similar with the pillars and the wave based, right? But like I think interestingly, like with you saying the devs have had like such a light touch, and implemented like old school things, right? I feel like they've done a really good job of like slowly introducing all these like onboarding systems for like kind of I want to say normal PvM, right? Like raids and stuff like Scurrius, your moons, they all prepare you for content. But I feel like Inferno and the Colosseum are the kind of last two pieces of content that don't have anything to prepare you for it. Like you just get thrown into having to learn to deal with like stacks and solves immediately, and there's no onboarding. Scurrius will teach you about press switches, like Moons will teach you about like basic movement stuff, but nothing prepares you for that kind of it's a high pressure environment to learn in the Inferno, right? And I
yeah.
think that and the Colosseum are the last two bits of content like that in the game. So it'd be interesting to see if they, obviously the Fight Caves is the predecessor to the Inferno, but it's not really relevant in terms of training you for those skills, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's actually something quite special about how the old school devs kind of work with content, because it's not just Inferno and Coliseum definitely are like those kind of wave based solving stacks and stuff, but we see any content drop and it is just there's no tutorial for it. It's like, here, have fun, like go figure it out. I think they just do a really good job with that. I mean, I remember the release of Tob. Like TOE was just an incredible release because the best teams in the game were getting like hard stuck at bloat, like the fucking second room, because they just had no idea what was happening. And I just love that excitement, because that almost feels sort of like, it's not wave based, but it has that feeling of like getting to the next fight, getting to the next fight, getting to the next fight. So you're getting all these fights, and then by the end you're like, what the fuck is going on? And I just love that Jagex like is able to do that and just to have fun with it, because it feels like with other games there'd be sort of like tutorials of like, or like little dialogues like, what should you do about this? You notice flies around blow. It's like, nah, just go in, have fun.
Like even like TOA, right? Like, you've got entry mode, which is a million times easier than a normal war and expert mode, right? But like, if you've never done a TOA before, you've never done any boss before, and you just like, there's no tutorial still, is it? You're still getting like, like if you're not prepared for Zebak's waves and they come flying at you, like you're dead, right? Like you still don't know what you're doing, like even on the easy modes, right?
Yeah, it feels like with Toa it's slightly different because of how just like the visuals are actually representing what's happening, whereas for example, if you get to Zarpus in TOB, like What the fuck is the screen? Like nothing is going to prepare you for him like throwing 3 acid splats at you for just swiping at him when he's looking at you. It's just like it's so counterintuitive, and which can be a little bit. But like TOA, I think they did a better job. I mean, I can't say the raid is like better personally, but some people do agree with that. But I just feel like the way they showed visual indicators of what's actually happening, they did a much better job. It looks way cleaner. Just
the older content's a lot more know the mechanics, trial and error, right? Whereas you can, a lot of the newer stuff is more I'd probably say reactive, like Doom, for example. Like you can green orb, what do you think you have to do? You have to play range, right? Like you can see that and you can know that immediately, and like you can get an experienced PvMer could probably get to like wave like 3 or 4 or Doom without reading a guide or without having to like know too much beforehand. Whereas like Tob, like you get to like Verzik for the first time, right? And you've not read a guide, and it's like the step backs and stuff like it's like insane. Like to know you have to do that without there's no visual cue, there's no audio cue. It's just you have to know, right?
Now, what do you think about the sort of early and mid-game transition to that later game stage where like PvM these days definitely has been, it's on a whole nother level of what we've ever seen. If you look back, 7 years ago or something, like it would truly, like God Wars was just insane, but they all had very similar mechanics across all of like the generals. And now we're seeing things like Doom and Yama and like Coliseum. It's getting like pretty crazy. And do you feel like Jagex is doing a good enough job preparing those early and mid game players with the content they release for early and mid game? I'm thinking content like Scurrius, like you threw out, and Moons of Peril, things like that. And obviously just like Fire Cape gets you kind of prepared for the Inferno and whatnot. But do you think they're doing a good enough job in that department?
I think they're definitely doing a good job, but I think it's really interesting, maybe funny, and like it's very unique in the way they've done it, and that they've released, you say what, 6-7 years ago now Theatre of Blood came out.
Yep. 2018.
2018, 7 years ago Theatre of Blood came out as like the hardest content in the game, right? And like very, very few people could do it, and they've almost had to retroactively put in all of these like training tools like Scurrius and Moons, like you say, to get people ready for this, this whole other game, right? Beforehand, you'd have had, RuneScape, and it's almost 2 games, right? You've got click on trees and rocks and get levels up, right? And then you've got the separate game of like Theatre of Blood, and the skill sets like required are so different, and there was no connecting pathway between them. It was just like, get into Theatre of Blood and keep doing it. You'll die a million times, and eventually you'll get the hang of it. But now, like Scurrius, you got basic movement mechanics and like prayer knowledge in that. That gets you ready for like Fight Caves, which is your first kind of big achievement, right? And then I'm a main, right? So I've probably not got the best perspective on it, but like for Iron Men in particular as well, like Moons is crazy. I'm sure you're aware. I know you've been doing your I say new Iron Man. You've been doing it nearly a year now, right? But
almost.
But as well as like teaching you skills, you've got a nice kind of clean way to get reasonable like DPS style rather than tank gear right through Moons. So yeah, like I feel like a lot of the new content they bring out really ties into like you don't have to be like crazy over leveled to enjoy it. Like you're getting gear drops for the relevant level that you are, like especially with Moons, right? Like Hubicotle's another good one. I know it's not the most loved boss, but like it's a nice little upgrade from like Black D'hide without having to go to God Wars, which is just like, you need like crazy stats. It's like they're super tanky, they do a shitload of unavoidable damage, especially doing the really sweaty methods, to be fair. But yeah, I think it all ties in really nicely with you got a nice chain from like Scurrius all the way to Theatre of Blood now, pretty much. There's always a step on you see people release like bossing ladder videos, right? And if you watch one of those, you can always kind of work out what kind of rung you're at and where you should go next. Whereas before, it was so tough to work out where to start. It was either, just do the hard stuff and die, which didn't really feel good for anyone, I don't think. So I think I've done a great job, to be honest.
I think one of the things they could have done is because like Scurrius is designed truly for like early players.
Yeah.
And most early players that are like Iron Men, for example, don't have the luxury of having like prayer pots and stuff. And so what ends up happening is it becomes kind of a nuisance of a fight. And I've obviously made two like kind of fresh Iron Men, one in like a group hardcore and then this one. And I did do Scurrius. And I felt like it just became kind of obnoxious because it's either you go grind blighted supplies and then you use them there. And I'm talking specifically Iron Man. Obviously, if you're like an early, but even as an early main, you don't really want to be spending money on like you don't really have the money to just be buying prayer pots, and prayer pots just don't even go that far when you're that low of level because one dose only is healing you like 16 prayer points or something when you just don't really have much prayer. So I feel like one of the things they could have done is just given much more generous resource drops, even like a secondary role that's guaranteed that always gives you like a 2-dose prayer pot or something like that at the end of every kill, something that's going to like sustain you there for longer, or even like the cheese pile restoring your prayer or boosting it above. Things like that would have made it a lot nicer. And I feel like it could be, because I don't think it's not adding anything necessarily to have low level players just, I don't know, having to like conserve their prayer more cautiously, because it feels like once you get to an end game stage, that's never the case unless you're like doing some wave based thing or trying to go for some crazy PB at Delve. It's just most times when you get to that point, which is what these early bosses are trying to prepare you for, you're never having to worry about your prayer points. You just have enough money and resources to just enjoy it and just kind of like splurge. So
I think you're right in Scurrius there. It's not really something I've thought about, but like they've done such a good job of like, you know, you don't need crazy gear to do it. Like it's not doing like crazy damage. You're not getting comboed out. And yeah, you're right. Like the prayer really is like the last hurdle to get it done. I suppose like when I was even like as a, you know, I had like stats in the 80s and 90s when I first learned it, right? And I'm a main, so I have got no kind of resource gateways anyway. But I'm just so tight with my money that I was going to the altar in the Varrock Church between kills.
oh damn.
Because my bank at the time was pretty low. But yeah, like you're right. Like yeah, that the prayer is kind of the last hurdle on there, making it truly like friendly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and giving people more of a reason to do it, because like the loot's not great, right? It is just a training tool, and it's yeah.
And
That's something I hadn't really thought about.
it feels like that's just such a great opportunity to do it, because it's not like every place where an early level player's training needs to have some sort of infinite prayer, but you just got to be a lot more generous with it, because what we don't want to see is the early stuff truly being harder than like end game stuff. I swear to God, like when I was doing Scurrius on this account, I didn't have any prayer pots, and before I had blighted stuff, I was going in there and one ticking every fucking prayer I do offensively and like protection prayers. That shit, and then moving between like falling rocks. That shit was higher APM than like 99% of the like high end PvM content I'm doing with max gear and shit. Like it was truly a battle. Like fighting Scurrius with that kind of stuff is crazy. Trying to conserve prayer. So I just feel like that could be something that could kind of spruce that place up a little bit more. And then I do think Moons, there's just, maybe I'm jaded. You're going to have to like tell me on this point, because I do feel like you're a little bit more in that world of seeing the game through the lens of a more mid game entering high, level sort of play style. And so I want you to kind of correct me if I'm wrong, but it does feel like Moons is almost a little bit too dumbed down. It just feels like there's a little bit, I don't know, there's just things that just feel like you're kind of being treated like a baby. I don't know, like the kicking the icicles thing just feels a little bit too easy and boring. And then the moving behind like this boulder just feels boring. And like, where is this going to help you in any other piece of content? It almost feels unnecessary and just dragged on, and not like it's helping in any way, really. I just want to get your kind of thoughts on Moons.
See, I'm like massive for like Perilous Moons as like a a pathway to the end game, like I think Moons, you've mentioned like the icicles, and yeah, it's not like one for one, but like even like the Verzik step back mechanic, like just teaching that you need to click on something then click back, like and how like it's such a simple thing, but like it gives you an idea for like timing and stuff like that. You've got to think like most of the audience listening is probably gonna like this might be a hot take, right? But like the average player does not know what a true tile is. They don't know that they've got to click like before they are where they think they are, right? Like so just like simple timing things like that. And it's the same with the barricade, right? Like obviously Eclipse Moon is infinitely easier than doing Zuck, right? But that and maybe the orb thing on Doom, the volatile earth orb, they're probably the only two examples of content I can think of where you've got to like stay in or behind something as it moves, right?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's like super dumbed down and super simple, but it's just like basic awareness. Like I feel like when you've probably come up and the only options have been to just get involved with like the hard content or just not do it, right? And if you've wanted to do it, that's the only option you've had. But now like you've just got some super like you'll see it as overly simple and like I get that. But like to a complete noob, that is like crazy compared to like clicking on goblins or cows in Lumbridge, you know what I mean?
True.
Like
even beyond Barrows, because Barrows is just
sit
Barrows,
there and tank
with
put your prayer on and cast air spells, right? Like that was the peak of PvM content in 2007 or 2005, right? Like, and if you're a returning player, like I said earlier, I did like a bit of like, just skilling and leveling up my account for nostalgia kind of sake before I got into like PvM, I say properly. But yeah, I had no interest in just going into Theatre of Blood and just dying repeatedly. But now I've kind of got those like super basics. It just fills people with confidence that like you say, it's or like I say, sorry, it's like you look at like PvM bossing ladders and it's like instead of just jumping to the top of it, you've got that every little rung, and it might seem basic to people that have been playing it for a long time, but I honestly think it's like so valuable to the newer player. Like I say, I've got like the Discord and whatever, and like people are genuinely like they'll get like their first fire cape or get their first moons case seal, they'll get their first moons drop, and it's like a game-changing moment to some people, and it might be like a 2 mil drop, but they can sell that, and that's like so many supplies. They've got the confidence from doing it, and then they can just jump on that next step, right? Even like quest bosses I think are great for it. Like people get in DT2 done, right? Like those bosses are super dumbed down from what they are in like the end game, but like even when I did DT2 when it came out, like I was kind of just starting my journey into the end game or whatever, and they were crazy, man. Like the quest bosses like blew my mind. I died like 20 times at most of them, like and that's just for a quest cape, right? That's like early game to you, I'm sure, right? Like but that's most people don't have a quest cape, like so like I think that's kind of leading back to myself and my content. That's where I kind of try and fit in, right? Is obviously the people who are making content love RuneScape and put a lot of time into RuneScape. So it's not that like I'm not saying like you're wrong in your opinion, obviously, like but it's hard, like you say, it's hard for you to see what the average player goes through, and that's all a lot fresher in my mind, and I've come up with all of that content to help me rather than just be thrown in the deep end. So I feel like I probably see a bit more value in it. That's my thinking.
Yeah, no, I think that's like refreshing to hear as well, because it really can be difficult. I mean, it's so faded, but there's a memory of me remembering hitting 72 Slayer on my 2015 main account and finally being able to get to Wyverns. And I show up to Wyverns with 62 ranged, with some red D-hide and like a rune crossbow with an obby cape. Like I didn't even know what an Ava's accumulator was. I truly didn't even know what the fuck that was. And I'm just, it just makes me laugh thinking about like how newbie I was. Like people are trying to explain to me what this like backpack like picks up your ammo. I'm like, what the fuck? Like what is happening? Like I don't get this. And yeah, there's just so many things where like when you're a new player, you do not even understand what the journey is going to look like, you know, a month from now. Like you just can't even see ahead of like where you're getting. You don't know like the actual trail that you're sort of like following. That's what it feels like to me now. But as an endgame player, and now, you know, having started 2 new accounts, like I like can see in my mind's eye of like exactly where I'm headed and like all the content I'm going to be doing. But yeah, as a new player, it really is like a blind playthrough where you're like discovering things for the first time, and it is hard to remember that feeling.
I mean, even for like myself, like I've done content like Moons and whatever, but I was, you know, I was only just getting into PvM, but I was over leveled for like when I should have been doing it. Like if you were doing it kind of at the right time, especially for like an Iron Man, less so for a main. But like there's so many bits of content that if you're doing it at the right level with kind of the right level of experience, it just adds so much value, not just from like a mechanical perspective, but from like a like the loot you get, right? Like I mean, I've joined a couple of your streams on the your new Iron Man, and I'm sure I haven't seen you, but I'm sure you've got all the moon sets, right? Like
I actually you know, it's funny that you say that because that was actually a piece of content that I skipped on this account early on.
Okay.
So I
actually, what did you go for? Yeah.
The path I took was like I wanted to skip all moons. I wanted to go for infinity at MTA, which I was gonna hate, but I just wanted to get it because of that classic look, and it feels cool to have. It feels cool to have like a sort of niche gear set that you could never that could be your best in slot at some point. Like that felt good. Like it's cool for me right now knowing infinity is actually still my best in slot besides a Virtus mask.
Complete tangent, but there's a guy on my Discord, Iron Inquisitor his name is, and he's going for front page for Sarnies, I think. And he's got a first time I met him, he just joined like an impromptu kind of TOA thing. And he's an Iron Man in full infinity with a shadow, and it just looks so cool, man. Like, yeah, I love stuff like that. Like a niche gear set, just looking like an absolute boss at like content. Like, you know, you shouldn't really be doing TOA in infinity, right? But like he owns it because it's the best he's got, right? And
it's a cool little like side thing to go for, even though you could just go get ARMs or you could go get whatever else. But yeah, so I skipped moons, and then I also was like, okay, you know what I'm going to use for my range gear? I want to get full Huey hide. So like Huey hide's what I went for.
Oh yeah, I saw you doing the Huey grind. Yeah.
Yep. And then I was like, I want to get full bandos, and the way I wanted to get full bandos was like grinding out these other things first for the prerequisite to get to bandos. And I fucking luckily I spooned bandos hard. I got tacits and BCP by like 118. Just crazy luck. So yeah, it's actually, let me look at my clip because I know I have done a little bit of moons just for the CAs because I was going for the elites. And where's Moons of Peril? Yeah, I still don't have anything. I've done 14 lunar chests. I don't have anything yet, which is crazy. Yeah.
So like with that, like obviously you've done your fair share of God Wars dungeon stuff in your time, right? But like if that was like your first Iron Man, like I imagine you would have waited till like a much higher combat level to like give that a go, right? Because it is like it's
that's actually a whole other topic I want to touch on. One of them is chambers, but we'll hold off on that for a second. I'll come back to it. But God Wars is one of those things that pretty much everybody now solos God Wars. Mains, you know, that have the luxury of going to the Grand Exchange and buying their stuff can just, you know, buy good stuff and then go solo it. There's still obviously those people that do team it up, but at Iron Man, you're forced to solo it. And it does feel like it's a little bit of a later game type thing to do. But I want to talk about the KCs, like getting minion KC, which I think is extremely outdated at this point. You're going to have to share your thoughts on that. But yeah, it feels like in order to really enjoy God Wars, it is not just going in there and tanking and getting a 2-kill trip. It's going in there and truly learning the ins and outs of each room and trying to stay as long as you can, which is kind of an exciting thing to get into. But it can be a lot. It can be it can be a headache to learn as well as a new account because of the fucking minion KC. Like if you die a Gardor, have fun running back with some like different god armors on and going to kill 40 goblins, then pick up a hammer and open the door and then pick up your other piece of food. It's just like, it's too much.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, with the whole minions thing, like I got a lot of people in the Discord and the clan and stuff, and like people like, oh, let's just do a mass at whatever, just because it's, you know, a bit of fun, you know. And I'm just like, I've got one ecumenical key in the bank, and once that's done, there's no way in hell I'm killing like 40 whatevers or going to farm more keys. Like if I want to do content, I want to log on and I want to do it. And that's why like you know, raids are obviously a little bit harder than God Wars Dungeon, I would say. But like actually getting into them is so much easier because, you know, you got Theatre of Blood, you can teleport straight there. TOA, you can, you know, fairy ring right to the front door, jump in straight away. Like CoX, you can get there immediately. Like it's harder content, but it's more accessible from a point of like actually just starting it. Which I think is definitely a benefit that newer content has. I was doing the DK's combat achievements recently, and that's another one that's just horrendous. Like, you die at Dagonath Kings, you got to go through that horrendous dungeon. Like, the content isn't the hard bit, it's just the faff and the admin around it, right? And I'm glad with newer stuff they're removing a lot of those roadblocks. I feel like it makes the whole experience a lot nicer for newer players.
Yeah, it's just it's a bit outdated, and if because like I don't want to just throw everything out, you know, like maybe there's some importance to that classic style of getting some minion KC, but like right now, I mean, if you're trying to go to Ziliana, you're not going to kill 40 fucking wizards around there. Like it's just too much. You're forced to go out in the wilderness to get your ecumenical keys, which takes an hour to get 3 to 5 at least, like an hour. Just if you're just doing it the classic way, you could do the barrage method or whatnot, but like most new players are not doing that. So that's obnoxious. Kriar is the same way. If you want to do that, you're not going to go kill 40 AVNCs in there. Plus, most of the time you get an AVNC task, and you don't want to tick down your task with that.
Yeah.
So those two are already out of the question. And then you have the goblins and the imps, and most people are world hopping and killing like a few goblins and world hopping. Like that's not a fun mechanic to world hop like 7 times. It's really cringe. And so what they could do is either really rethink that mechanic entirely and just get rid of it to some extent, or maybe add some sort of out of the wilderness little like ecumenical key rocks that you can mine or something, like AFK and get little shards. Like ecumenical key shards are already in the game, which that'd be kind of cool to just be able to mine them, get 5 keys, and you can roll, and maybe even get more than that. Like it would be cool to be able to stack more than 5 keys. Like if you could just stack more than 5 keys, then I feel like everything kind of gets better across the board, because you could just have a full day of like, you know what, I'm just gonna sit out in the wilderness and collect a metric fuck ton of these keys and make them so they're like stackable or something as well.
Yeah. I mean, like there's so many ways you could do it, right? You could make it like nice and simple and easy like that, or even like with Nex and like the frozen key, right? If you've got you know, however many you know, KC at each boss already, like you could maybe go down like that route, that you know, you get a KC on each one, and then you get like the ability to like craft the key from, you know, like shards or whatever. There's so many ways they can make it more accessible, right? Like, yeah, locking a boss behind killing 40 imps. Like, if that came out today, people would people would think that was insane, right? But like, yeah, at the same time, I am torn, because it is like a nostalgic thing, right? And it is like iconically RuneScape, like, and it's a hard thing to advocate for getting rid of, but at the same time, I think the only people that would desperately want to keep it would be those people are way too like jaded by nostalgia, or like a bit gatekeepy about keeping things old school, right? Which is, you know, the game is the way it is, and the game is so good because the dev team have worked so hard to keep things old school. So it's hard to just be like, yeah, just fucking change it as shit, right? But yeah, would it really be a detriment? I don't think so. I think it would open up that content to a lot more people, make it a lot less intimidating. it's so much less of a time sink to just get in there and give it a go, right?
Yeah, I will say actually one more point on that was, or just kind of the thing I would like to see, and it kind of keeps that same nostalgia that we can still appreciate. And like I feel like there are players that just want to keep all that. Just let it be so all God Wars bosses and minions can drop ecumenical key shards. I think that's so important. I think the key shard system that Nex has. I don't know if you've killed any Nex yet.
I've not killed. Well, what's the Zami boss? I've not killed Krill. So
yeah.
no, I've not killed Nex. I've not got the final key piece.
Okay,
but
yeah. Nex drops ecumenical key shards, and once you get 50 of them, you just make a key, which is great.
Yeah.
And so it'd be cool to have that system across the board where any boss and minions can drop little trickle shards, and then make it so you can stack way more than 10. Make it just so it's like unlimited. Like just I do not understand the 5 key limit. Is there any actual reason for that? Like,
I think arbitrary limits like that suck. They don't feel good. Like if I want to put in like 10 hours AFK in imps, do you know what I mean? Like I should be able to stack that up and then do the boss with my friends or whatever. Like I know you're saying most people solo them, but if you're like serious about it, obviously you're gonna go solo. But if you just want to send some like gobbles with your mates or whatever, it feels bad to just be like, oh yeah, we can only do 5 and then we've got to log off for the night. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, you want to be able to. That's what's so great about the game is that you can do. I don't want to say the boring stuff, but I can train Slayer right now and have a chat with you, and then when I want to lock in, I can go do the Colosseum and like focus and do that kind of stuff, right? And you don't want to, you don't want to spend the active time you've got to play killing imps or in the wilderness grinding keys, right? You want to spend the active time you've got, doing group content or trying to learn something new that's tough or that kind of stuff, right?
Yep. And I do think they should maybe even scale, because one of the things that we all end up doing is just killing the goblins or the imps if we're going to Gardor or Zami.
Yeah, and absolutely.
It's the same kind of thing you do like in the wilderness version. You're just trying to kill those imps and then hop worlds. What if you can kill any of them and the key rates or the KC is dependent on like the combat level or like the HP that you're killing? So now you can go and kill anything. You don't need to just kill the goblins to get 1 KC, but you can just kill like a Gorak or whatever the fuck else. I guess Gorak's a Zami thing, but like just anything around there. And then you're getting, a few more like KC because it's a higher.
So maybe you only need to kill like 5 spiritual mages for your 40 points, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like there's so many little things they could do to just ease that up. But I do think the unlimited keys that you could have would be just a great starter to that.
Yeah, there's so many things they could do, man. Like I'm sure they've got plenty of ideas about how to make it simpler. But I suppose it all comes down to like dev time at the end of the day, right? And obviously you have people for it, people against it. And I suppose like that kind of thing where it might be a controversial opinion. In Jagex's opinion, I suppose it might just be a headache that they want to avoid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if everything is if it truly is too much of a headache, and if they think there are too many players that would be like against the change, if you were to just change one thing, it would be raise the cap of 5 keys to unlimited. Just like that alone. Like so, you're not
easy change. Easy change.
Just that. Like that would be the easiest thing to ever do.
That would be number one. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not even like an alchable thing anymore. You used to be able to like alch ecumenical keys.
I didn't know that.
I think, and they alched for a lot, and a lot of like bots would be out there like just getting ecumenical keys and alching them for like 60 something K. But yeah, like there's literally nothing that's broken about just expanding that limit. And if it needs to be tied to Wilderness Diary, if that's what they want to do, because I think it already is tied to that. I think you can get like 5 once you
the key count is it's 3, then 4, then 5, isn't it, for like different tiers, I think. Or something like that.
Yeah, just get rid of all that. Just make it unlimited across the board from the get-go. So now I want to talk to you about chambers, because this is something that kind of it's kind of like that gatekeepiness. Now I know you were just saying like raids compared to God Wars, at least, it's just like you just go there and you're in there, like you're just starting a raid. But chambers feels a little bit less intuitive and standardized than the other raids. Now Toa is obviously out there invocation system, which can be kind of a headache to set up and everything. And if you have a different raid party, you're trying to figure out invocations. Tob is just you're in there. You're going.
Yeah, Tob's top, right? Yeah.
Yep. I want to get your thoughts on making it so you can just completely choose exactly the raid you want in Chambers. Now, CMs will always be the same way, where you have to do every single room. And I think that is what it should be. And I do think you should be heavily rewarded for doing the CM version. But I honestly, in my opinion, we've been making little baby steps toward this. But I truly feel like in this day and age, 2025, we need to be able to just pick our exact layout we want for a normal Chambers and just run it endlessly. I am so sick and tired of, even though they've made massive improvements where you can just reload the raid instantaneously, like, well, why are we even doing that? Like, just let us be able to just choose the layout. We're going to do that anyway. We're just wasting time in the clunkiest thing ever to do that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So my only Chambers experience is in leagues, and I don't do Chambers for literally the reasons you've described. Like you say, TOA is a bit of a pain, like getting out invos that are fine for everyone. But like the reset and like the faffing around with Chambers is just like, it's so much headache and obstruction to something that like is good content, but it's just unnecessary faff that makes it just like awkward. Like a lot of the bosses are, a little bit clunky. It's the oldest raid, right? Clunky enough already. Like, why make it even more confusing, weird, and obstructive for like people to get into? I agree completely. Like, I speak to kind of a lot of people that are massively into Chambers, and they say like once you get like past that and once you get into challenge modes, it's great because it's the same and it's consistent every time. But that like learning experience is just it's a hurdle to get over rather than something they enjoy.
Yeah, I just feel like at this point, and don't even add any sort of downside to it, I feel like there had always been that idea of like, oh, well, maybe you get subtracted a bunch of points for choosing your exact layout. I'm like, just knock it off. Don't do any of that. Yeah. Just allow us to choose the exact rooms we want. Maybe, obviously, you're going to be obligated to have a certain amount of rooms, just like how it is right now. But if you could just choose the exact perfect layout you wanted every time, I think there's like an argument I can already hear from people saying, well, like, no, I mean, you can't have all the good stuff without all the shit. And it's like, we're already choosing all the good stuff. We're just fucking around with, like you said, the faff of just reloading raids until we get what we want anyway. And it's stupid.
I would honestly rather just like they did it with like, you have to do every single boss and up the loot. Like it's longer, it's harder, but it'd be like, I think like consistency is like so important when you're trying to learn something new. Like I know there's like like a standard layout that people do for normals, right? You're seeking out like one thing, but like if it comes up to a point where like you almost have to be doing it with someone that knows that, like you can't just get into it and do it, because even if you've got like one KC and you've gotten through, like you've got to know what you're looking for. You've got to know how to set it up. Yep. You've got to, it's just so obstructive. Like if I want to do a boss, I don't want to spend like 10 minutes reading the wiki, knowing what I'm looking for every time I want to kill it. I want it to be like, not exactly the same every time. Like obviously Inferno's not the same every time. Colosseum's not the same every time. Like there is a bit of like randomization to it, but the core principles are exactly the same. Like you can do a Chambers run and you can be faced with, if you don't know what you're doing, like, and you've not set it up properly, like something you have like no idea, no context of, right? I'd rather do all the bosses in one go, and that might be an insane take, but yeah.
No, I honestly think what you just said right there is when you're learning something and you have never experienced the content, the last thing you want is the entire raid looking fucking way different every single time you enter.
Imagine getting to the end of Theatre of Blood, and then the final boss is just something different all of a sudden. Do you know what I mean? You'd be like, what the hell is going on? What?
That's crazy. Yeah, you're totally right. That is so. They need to get to that point, because it really is just kind of a stain on what could be just really, really good content if it was just. And they've made great steps toward that. If you look back at Chambers in 2017, Jesus Christ, it was a shit show. It was just bad. So we've made great strides, but we got to just enhance it a little bit more. I'm really curious what they'll do with raids for whether, because it doesn't sound like they're going to have any modifiers or invocations. And if go for
I'm
it.
personally hoping it's like a more tier B style, like boss rush. I know everyone's probably saying that. I like
I think it will.
I think I've heard you say on your podcast, right? The puzzles in TOA were like a good idea, but with like Runelight and whatever, it's just like a solved problem. It's just a time sink, isn't it? It just makes the raid longer for no reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, Todd boss rush should be the way to go. Yeah, there's so much more they can do though, right? Like even if like they've got like it's still the same boss every time, but you could have like ways to. This is obviously I'm pulling this out my ass. This is completely made up, but like stuff like Doom, like delve based stuff. You could stay longer in a certain room and get things harder to up your loot chance, right? And then you're like, okay, I'm moving on from here now, and you could do that, a few times, or like they've just got so many different tools they could use, like to just give like a different flavor to it. They haven't got to do it like a pure boss rush. They could put in some wave based stuff if they wanted to, like where you've got we don't know how many rooms there's going to be, but where you've got a few rooms, you've got ways to test like different skill sets and like that kind of thing. I think they get a lot of freedom with raids to test new things, because even if one boss is a bit rubbish, right, like there might be 3 or 4 others that people really love, and it kind of brings the whole thing up to a net positive. And yeah, I think that's what I like about raids, is they get to try new things, and they can still have a great piece of content without like one little tiny negative souring it.
Yeah, I think again, it's like this sort of, in theory, puzzles work, but in order to execute properly on puzzles, first of all, I think puzzles only really can succeed in a solo sort of scenario. I feel like as soon as you start trying to scale it with multiple people and you're trying to have the same sort of puzzle that can be done either in a solo or an 8-man, it just becomes like, all right, this has to be the most dumbed down puzzle of all time, because it's either going to be really stupid for like a big party or like really stupid for a solo. It's really hard to balance. So I feel like in theory, puzzles can work, but they have to be rhythmic and short and almost part of the boss fight itself. I think Sodaseg does it great with the little like maze run. I think Yama does it great with the stepping stones. It's not even a puzzle. It's just like some sort of extra obstacle that is ingrained in the boss itself that's just quick.
What do you think about Duke Prep as like a kind of sort of a puzzle, like Hello to Culture kind of like little movement? I don't know, puzzle's probably not the right word, but then Monkey Room's not a puzzle either, right? You know what I mean? Like addition to a boss fight.
So Duke, they obviously changed a few months ago where now you can prep up to 4 kills. And I actually did. I mean, I think it's almost like the what's it called? The Stockholm syndrome of like just doing it for so much it just becomes like enjoyable. It's like I've just
you were going for Baron, weren't you? Yeah.
It was like 8,000. Still no Baron on Sae Bae, but
RIP.
I did like how with the mechanics that were in place, you could make it smoother by bringing a Salaster Spark, getting double the mushroom picks. It feels like right now, the things that need to change, in my personal opinion, are just the snappiness of everything. I really do feel like there's not enough of that kind of satisfying snappiness that we could see, and I feel like it's just a matter of actually seeing it. Like you have to visualize how much nicer this prep could be if things were faster, if things were bouncier. I use the word bouncier because it's just like I want to get to the mushrooms, and I just want to start picking before you've even actually arrived there visually. I want there to already be some picking. Like right now, if you're not doing some sort of like crushing of the mushrooms while simultaneously picking it, your dude's picking it at like the slowest fucking speed of all time. It's painful to witness. It's just like, holy fuck, like pick the thing. If this was more like you're running there and it's a 1-tick pick, boom, 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 just like CG when you're cooking your fish at the little thing. If it was just that quick, where like the first fish you're cooking, it's like a double cook as well. So you get that satisfaction of like, boom, there's 2, click a few more times, and then you're running. And I think the mining should be the same way, where you just run there, you mine, and you can just like one tick the mine, sort of. That would be faster. And then even those little fermenting vats or whatever they are, like those things, like the loading bar, it's just unnecessary. Like, just make this way faster. I feel like it could be even given the mixology treatment, where there's a bar and then you can click it like 2 ticks after you've put it in there, and it just like raises the bar to the top. Like, there's little things like that just make things feel so much better long term. And I feel like Duke, even though they've done a great job with making it so you don't have to prep every single kill, just make it bouncier, make it faster. And they've done that, but you could go so much harder on it, and it would just feel better across the board, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same ballpark. Like, I don't mind the slowness. Like, I do a fair bit of like streaming and stuff, and Duke's like my go-to for like if I just want to chill out and have a chat with people, because you can have that, like, the fight itself's not intense, right? You can have a chat whilst the fight's on.
Yeah.
But you do get that like 2 minutes of downtime, a minute or so of downtime, like in the prep phase, where all you've got to do is like click once, then click on the mushrooms. Like, I don't go crazy with like the grinding mushrooms tick minute stuff. Like, I literally just click on the mushrooms, I wait, I see what chat's saying, that kind of thing, right? And I love it for like that when I want to just like do more chilled out. But you're right, when you are trying to do it like max efficiency, it does still feel pretty bad. Only having to do it once every 3 kills now?
It depends on your herblore level, but every 4, and once you're at the highest tier, because you can prep 8 different potions, and then you obviously use 2.
Okay, I'm at 6. I need to get my herblore up.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It does still feel pretty rough when you are trying to sweat it out a bit and properly grind it, right?
Yeah, and it's just those little things that go a long way. Even beyond PvM, just for, I mean, this is like my hobby horse. I just love bashing on like blood shard thieving. Just thieving in general is just so it's so shit.
Yeah.
So it's not even necessarily blood shard thieving. That's just the thing I had been doing, which I went like 11,000 pickpockets dry just the other day, or I should say the other week, because 11,000 pickpockets at not 99 thieving genuinely takes like 17 fucking hours of your life to do. It's just crazy how, anyway, that's beyond what I even want to focus on, which is like pickpocketing and getting stunned repeatedly is like the worst gameplay loop of all time, especially when you're stunned is the perfect time to eat like your food to heal up or do something, but that extends the stun timer. You can only eat efficiently in between a pickpocket, which is like the clunkiest thing ever. And then whenever you're about to get stunned, like the tick before you've been stunned, nothing is registering. Like, you can't do your shadow veil again, or you can't eat something, or you can't like click your prayers. Everything becomes stun locked, and it's like, God damn, like, fix this. It's agonizing to experience.
Like, we're obviously like very different like players at different stages of our accounts, and like mechanically and whatever. But like, one thing that, like, I don't know, I feel like me, you, and anyone would agree on is like making things feel good for doing them correctly rather than feel bad for doing them wrong is like something that the devs are a lot better at nowadays. But there is a lot of like archaic content like thieving and stuff where it like it's the reason I avoid like so much skilling, is because everything like bouncy is the perfect word. Like, a lot of PvM, it's very like you get into like that flow state where you're like you're clicking at the right time, your character's never moving. Like, even like Duke, it's like such a simplistic example, but when you get that little whack on Duke as you're running between the like gas vents, and you don't waste any ticks, like, it's so simple, it's so easy, but like getting that off, like when you first realize you can do that and you can like make that happen, it feels so good. But there's nothing like that with like skilling. I mean, there are like, you can get all into like the different like tick manipulation methods and whatever, but it is like, I suppose thieving's not that I'm aware of, it's not got anything like that, right? It is literally just click on stuff and then you get stunned and then you have to wait, right? There's no active like way to do it. It just is what it is, right?
Yeah. And I think just in they need to, in the actual system itself, rework how thieving is. That you could still have all the same bullshit mechanics of getting stunned, but fix how it's actually being like processed in the code. Because I truly feel like if you were to just clean up where you could still interact with your client when you've been stunned or preparing to be stunned, it would just feel better. And I even brought up the idea, I just want to like reiterate on this idea, which is like, you know how we have day alt essence, which is basically you spend extra time mining to get, once you actually are actively rune crafting, you get 50% more rune crafting XP. I love that kind of philosophy on things, as long as it's somewhat balanced. And I was just thinking, what if there's a thieving mini game that all you're getting is like stun deflectors? You're getting these like stackable stun deflectors where you're spending time getting very low XP rates, collecting these. I'm even thinking of something like Rogue's Den. You go to the Rogue's Den, nobody's doing that post Rogue's outfit. But if there was a reason to go back there, or any sort of similar minigame that comes out in the future that's kind of like that, where you're collecting these stun deflectors, then when you've collected a whole load of them, now you can bring that stack to any sort of traditional thieving. And what it does is whenever you would have been stunned, it just completely ignores it. So there's still, the cool thing about this is like, well, first off, your XP rates would just skyrocket using these, but you have to keep in mind the way you got these in the first place, because they'd have to be untradeable to be balanced, is you wasted XP by collecting these. Maybe it could even be a more AFK type thing, like Day Alt, where Day Alt is AFK. So whatever the minigame is to collect these would then enhance your actual thieving ability. So if you're like an Iron Man and you just want to go on like this huge blood shard hunt, once you've collected like 5,000 of these things, you are just good to go, and you are just never getting stunned. But there's still a reason to use dodgy necklaces and to use Shadow Veil, because it will just use fewer of the stun deflectors that you've obtained. You know what I mean? So there's like still a reason to do traditional thieving, but you're just never experiencing the actual misery of getting stunned. I just think that system, if you were to not fix thieving, because thieving could have a lot of fixes made, but if you want something simple, I think that's the way to go, personally.
I mean, I definitely agree. It'd be nice to have something like active you can do to make it feel nice, rather than just a pure punishment, right? And I think what you've said, like about day out essence as an example, is a great one, because you don't get it. You get it from mining, right? It's like you're not getting like rune crafting XP.
Oh, true. Yeah,
you've got it right. So like, you've mentioned about tying it to a mini game, like something maybe not Hallowed Sepulchre specifically, but tying it to agility and thieving are often quite interlinked. So that'd probably be the way I would suggest doing it, would be to tie it to something like tangentially related to thieving with some thieving trickle XP. So like Rogue's Den is probably a good example, right? Because you get agility and thieving from Rogue's Den, right? I think you get like trickle agility, but mostly thieving, right?
Yeah.
So like something like the other way around, right? So you'd be getting mostly agility and some trickle thieving. Yeah. But you'd also get these things to speed up your thieving. That's probably the way I'd think about it.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
I like the system as well. Like if if they were to come out with even some sort of alternate sort of Hallowed Sepulchre, where like right now you do Sepulchre and you get strange old lockpicks occasionally to use as arrows. They could come out with something. It doesn't need to be Sepulchre, just some other sort of movement minigame that is purely agility, but the loot you're getting are these stun deflectors that then you can use for something. So it has no tie to thieving.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea, man. Like I love like Hallowed Sepulchre as well. Like I wish there was more like it.
Yes.
It's a bit crap now, like for like money and whatever, because the as much as I love the stamina changes, it's pretty much kind of gotten rid of any reason to go to Hallowed Sep other than just agility XP. But I love it as like content. Like it is probably the only skilling I enjoy.
Yeah, because it doesn't even feel like the last thing you're thinking about is your XP rate. You're just going around just running, and you're just figuring out like how to get faster times. That's so good.
Yeah, it's my favorite skin content, and it's not even like close. Like, yeah, it feels like it's the only content that's like good XP that was like designed to be good. Like you look at like the the tick minute methods, like that was never supposed to be in the game. I get that people love it, And I think it's cool that we've broken the game in that way in order to play it differently. But like, it wasn't, we weren't supposed to get XP at that rate. And I think Hallowed Sepulchre is like the only place where it's been designed, skilling that is designed. It's the only place where skilling has designed to be like a challenge, whereas all the other challenging skilling methods are just players breaking the game, right?
Yeah. No, you're totally right. It was intentional to have it be that way, and it's not wrist breaking. Hallowed Sepulchre is so good because there's so much skill to it and rhythm and pattern recognition, but there's not the element of wrist breaking, just click a billion fucking times.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it requires attention, but it's not just like
it's not high APM for the sake of high APM just to make it
that's the kind of content I love for skilling.
I'm totally
engaging but not crippling.
One of the topics that we were kind of mentioning in our DM was, how do mid-game players find direction, which we've obviously kind of hinted at the beginning of this conversation, but I want to kind of dive a little bit deeper into that. And so not only the topic of how mid-game players can find direction, but also what is the thing that's keeping them around as well. Like so let's jump into that.
Cool. Yeah. So I suppose like my thoughts on it is like, if you're in like the super earlier game, it's obviously not the most popular thing in the world, but you have like, what's his name? He's the guy in Lumbridge, Adventurer John. You're an Iron Man. You're probably not familiar with him, but he gives you like a little tasks. Go get this skill, go do this thing, and he gives you little rewards and stuff. And like, I think that's great from like a super early game, like a pure introduction into the game, right? And I wouldn't want to spoon people to like that degree. But obviously, RuneScape is do you know like the distinction between like sandbox and theme park MMOs, right? RuneScape is like probably like the biggest like sandbox going, right? And for me, like, that's its biggest strength and also its biggest weakness. Like, if you really want to get into it, you can always find something to do in this game. There's so many options, so many routes to go down, that kind of thing. But like, I don't know, unless you're the kind of player who's going to like look for things to do, I think it's very easy to log onto this game and be like, okay, I've logged on. I've got a million quests. I don't know which one to do. Which one do I do? Which one do I start with? What are these achievement diaries? Should I be going for combat achievements? And yeah, I mean, I suppose it's a question for you as well as it's something for me to answer is, do we think there's anything that could be kind of put into the game to, we've got all the tools to smooth out that journey now in regards to like mechanical learning and like reasonable mid-game drops for Iron Man with like Scurrius and Moons and whatever. But like, do you think we're sufficiently directing players to that content? Or do you think we should, I suppose is the answer, right? Or the question, sorry. Like, do we think we should, if the game's not for you and you don't like the open world, go play World of Warcraft? Or, should we be encouraging people to get through that? Like, would it harm the identity of the game to make that mid-game journey a bit more signposted?
That's a great question. I like the question of should we even do that? Because there's definitely... so I will say something that just came to my mind when you were kind of saying that was the thing that when I look back a decade, when I started playing old school in 2015, it's actually been like exactly a decade, which is kind of cool to think. It was like September of 2015 when I started playing, when I was an adult, obviously. And I think the thing that guided me and made me excited about stuff was not some in-game tutorial or in-game guide posting. It was just YouTube content creators. It was like, I don't know where the fuck I'm at on my account, don't really know what to do, so I would just look up OSRS guides or OSRS things to do or OSRS money makers. And again, I was a main account at this time, and it just feels like consuming content allows you to start expanding your horizons of like, oh, these players are doing this guy's doing this guy's doing this. And I just feel like as soon as you start kind of adding too many sort of goalposts in game and adding too many systems in game that almost kind of like force you to play a certain way. Not force, but you know what I mean? It feels like there's more pressure to play in a certain way, to follow the meta. It just becomes a little boring and a little stale, and I just don't think that's what the game needs. So to answer your question, I don't think we should be doing that. I think that's like the content creator's job. And you know, way back in the day, I mean, there was way more of an argument when YouTube was just starting and we were all children, and maybe they could have added a few more tutorials in there. But these days, everybody that's playing video games is also like on YouTube and other things. It just feels like there's so many resources out there, and you're going to get way better resources from creators rather than the devs taking time to like hold your hand in game.
Yeah, and like I agree, like to a point, but like I feel like the part that I like disagree on is, I think we've got like the most amazing like community of like creators like in any game ever. Like RuneScape's not the only game I've ever played. Like I've played other games before, but there is no community like the old school community. Like it's absolutely crazy, and we're so lucky to have it, and like to have so many people like so passionate about this game and like willing to put their time into like creating resources to help people, whether that's just, you know, people on the wiki, people like myself making guides, plugin makers. It's absolutely like wild the dedication that people put into what is ultimately a kids point and click adventure game from 2001 or whatever, right? It's nuts. But like the thing that kind of, whilst we're lucky to have all that, like I speak to a lot of like newer players like through my Discord and stuff like that, and like it's such like a exploratory game that like I think a lot of the instruction we have out there provided by creators it's very rigid. It's not like maybe you should go and try this boss. It's like, here's Boaty's Iron Man guide, read this whole thing and then you'll be like maxed. And I feel like there could be a better way to point players in the right direction, give them a more unique game experience rather than just like shopping lists. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what that is, which is why I've kind of raised it as a discussion, because like why I've DM'd you about it, really. But yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like it's a shame because obviously you enjoyed this game as a kid as well, like I did. And part of the beauty of it was that you could just go in and it's this big open world and you can do whatever you want, right? And there was a lot less to do. So like, you know, you're doing free to play, you've got like 20 quests. It's fairly obvious that the end goal is, you know, do Dragon Slayer and get full rune, right? Like that's never signposted to you, but like I feel like as a kid I kind of worked that out myself, right?
Yeah.
Whereas now, like the journey from starting your account to maxed in full Torva is like insane, right? Like
yeah,
for someone coming in first time, looking at like what should I be doing in this game, and then they're like, oh, the best old school RuneScape progression. Here's a guide from like 1 to 1,000,000, like a million different steps of do this content, do that content. I don't know. Like I feel like there could be something we could do to make it a little best.
That's where like the creators like you come into play, and like there's so many other creators that like it's not just an overwhelming here's how you get to max, here's how you get to all this other crazy shit. It's just simple searches on YouTube of like, you know, what to do at an early stage, and there's so many guides and so many videos of just explaining things you can do, bosses you can do, skilling, money making you can do, and there's like a part of me that feels like, yeah, maybe there could be some value in more systems that can kind of help you in game that are just directly in game. But I really feel like there might be something that's lost with a new player's journey where there's too much hand holding, or even honestly too much guide watching in general. Like just going on YouTube too much can almost kind of defeat that sort of magic as an early player, which you won't fully appreciate until years down the line when you look back at because like me looking back at when I first started into old school again, that was a magical experience. I was probably fucking hating a lot of it just because of how like awful the grinds were and stuff. But looking back now, I'm like, damn, that was a good ass time. That was fun because I really didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, I feel like you're definitely right. Like, obviously, like making guides myself, like you get people like join my Discord and clown with like questions, like asking for help and whatever. And like, obviously, I want to help people as much as I can. My whole thing is trying to get people into the end game and enjoying it and whatever. But it was a particular question I had today. Actually, it was someone was like asking for help with gauntlet prep, and I was just kind of like I know this person hasn't like really been into the gauntlet yet and given it much of a go, but it's just like I can do my best to explain this to you, but you're going to get so much more value out of it by going in, experimenting, like trying new
Yes.
things, and then come back to me if you've got like a specific question, like, oh, how can I optimize this little thing a bit, or like, oh, I'm doing running out of time doing like tier 2 prep. Should I go to tier 1? And like the specific questions that you can actually help with, but like so much of this content like in this game nowadays is so deep and there's so much to it that you almost can't like provide like too much specific instruction, right? Because yeah, it's just too deep to get across over like a like a quick message, or like without like having a proper sit down with someone and taking them through every step by step. And I think people would get more value out of the game, like you say, rather than relying too much on guides and like I say, we've got a great wiki, we've got great YouTubers, so many great people helping make this game accessible for people. But yeah, like you want to enjoy the journey, right? You don't want to be ticking off that shopping list. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, this it being a sandbox and being able to give anything a go is probably what makes it so fun and so open, and what gives people so many different and varied journeys, right?
Yeah, and there'd definitely be more. I'd be more open to discussing like things about the sort of early mid game experience, but it really, I mean, the game is thriving on another level.
Yeah.
It's just the player growth has just been insane this year. We've hit all time peaks multiple times this year, and it's like, yeah, I don't think that we need to. I think they're doing a good enough job with just introducing more and more mid and early game content and like diversifying it. I think sailing is just going to diversify it even more and make it just so there's just so many paths to go down. I think that's
Yeah.
just ultimately the way you should be designing a more like sandbox kind of game like we
Yeah.
have.
I think you've kind of touched upon a good point there, is that the communication doesn't necessarily need to be in the game. I think the Jagex team, obviously, we've got like the polling system, and I don't think there's another game with communication between the players and the mods like there is with old school, right? Like I've never chatted to like a JMod personally, right? But like obviously a lot of the creators, they will chat to JMods. We're on a polling system where stuff doesn't get voted in unless like the majority of people want it. Like there's no other game like it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I think all of these changes that come in have to be like communicated so clearly and concisely that if anyone's got more than just like a passing interest in the game, they might not read the news post on day one, but they're on the homepage or the Reddit enough or on Twitter, and they can see kind of what changes are coming in and who they're for, right? So they'll know, like, oh, like for me, for example, like when I was, getting into PvM, it's like, oh, okay, I'm level 60, level 70 combat stats. Scurrius has come out, oh, this looks like it could be for me. I could get into this, and this could be my gateway into learning some mechanical stuff, right? But yeah, I think the clear communication from Jagex through like all the social media channels and stuff, as well as the like creator like atmosphere, obviously you do your rambles for like people who are more in depth into the game or want to know all the details. You've got people like Solo Mission, like every time an update comes out, you'll test out everything on it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you'll know if it's for you like immediately. So yeah, I suppose you've raised a great point in that the signposting is already there, right? It's just not baked into the game.
Yeah. Now, this is a question you kind of had, and I want to kind of remix it. So you were asking, how do we
Mhm.
make the journey enjoyable without making it too easy? I want to ask,
Yeah.
has there been anything in the game over the last few years that has kind of made you scared about the direction of like easy scapification? Is there any example of that? Because I feel like when I ask myself, is the game getting too easy, or are things getting dumbed down? That was always a fear that a lot of like players
Yeah.
had in the early days of just like making things too easy and getting rid of like the hurdles. I just I truly feel like on the grand scheme of things, things that get standardized and made simpler and nicer, and just ultimately easier, don't actually have a negative impact on the game, generally speaking. And I want to know
Could
if
you
you
give me
have
some
any.
examples of content that you mean? Like, what's a
So,
good example of something that's been made easy that you've really liked?
so the things I'm thinking about right now are more just baked into the game. So, for example, left click drop, like, or shift click drop, like things like that. Like, people were genuinely
Yeah.
terrified of you being able to like left click a bone on an altar. Like, no, you had to right click, use it on the altar to keep that like respectable. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it just feels like all those little changes, there was so much fear around sort of changing it. If you were a high level player back then, like, no, we can't do that. Or plugins were like just going to destroy the game. I remember Jagex held a hard line on like, no, you can't left click pickpocket things. Like, you had to right
Yeah, it was
click
the RD
every
Knights
fucking
fiasco,
elf.
wasn't it?
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
like the elves and the Vires, you used to have to right click unless you were on a cheat client. It was just absolutely out of control. And then I feel like, so interfaces, menus, menu swapping, like all this stuff has made the game much, much technically easier. I mean, I remember when I was doing 99 Runecraft on Sae Bae back in 2019, I had to right click my fucking dueling ring every time and like actually like accurately click the teleport and then accurately like right click menus to fill my pouches and everything like that. Like, it was genuinely a lot more skill based. Like, you really had to lock the fuck in.
Yeah.
And these days everything's just left clickable. You just menu swap it, boom, 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 and it's a good time. And there was so much fear about like, no, if you start changing this, like, it's going to go downhill. And they held the line for a long time with left click construction. It used to be like you had to right click it, you had to do this. Now it's just left click. And I still feel like they're holding on by a fucking thread when it comes to blackjacking. They're still insistent that you can't menu swap that, which I just think is absolutely ridiculous. So I guess I'm more talking about that escapification in my head, but I know there's examples of PvM situations where they've made things easier. I mean, I guess I'll bring up one, Seracnus. Seracnus was, you were getting stuck in a web every single time it moved, and the way you would try to maximize your DPS was bringing either like a Crystal Halley, so you could like squeeze in that extra little hit on certain timings.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the Ring of Stone came out, and now you could kind of avoid the webs, but you'd still have to get stuck for a little bit, but then you could just get out of it. And now we just have Aranea boots, which is just full AFK the whole fucking fight. So that has like an evolution of just getting from genuine like focused on this fight to just full AFK. And ultimately, I don't see anything in that example in particular, anything necessarily wrong with it, even though it's become absolutely brain dead easy over what it used to be. Maybe you have some examples, if anything, but I want to just kind of hear your thoughts on that overall.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you've raised like 2 points really. Is one's like the skilling aspect of it. So I'll give you my thoughts on that first. And my kind of thing is like, I don't like interfaces that feel bad just because like that's the way it's always been. I'd be the first to advocate for, like you mentioned, the drop changes and the menu entry swapping on pickpocketing. Like, I'm absolutely like cool with that. Like, I'm all about that. Like, there's like a line, like if you've played RS3 ever, like everything
Nope.
is like make all. Like, you can always, there's never like fletching, you're not clicking things, you're always just everything is make all basically. You never have to like making potions. Is OSRS like that? I've not made potions in a long time, but I know they made some changes recently to some stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah,
it's not,
everything.
yeah, it's not just clicking the herb and the unfinished, or the secondary and the unfinished pot. Like, you do always have to either hold spacebar or click make all on it, like the little
Yeah.
button.
Like, RS3 is just like streamlined to the point of like it is basically full AFK for everything you do, and I think that's maybe like a step too far. But like, yeah, reducing interfaces that feel bad and that are clunky and are just like APM for APM's sake. Like, I'm all about that, especially when it comes to skilling. And I think like that kind of thing allows them to make, if you look at that on like from a PvM lens, like shift click dropping and stuff like that. Like, I know it's like only little things, or like even keybinds for switching your like F1, F2, F keys for switching your inventory menus, right? Like, that was
Yeah.
quite contentious
And
when that first became a thing, right?
And shift click walk under bosses used to not be a
Yeah,
thing.
shift click walk under. Yeah, like that kind of thing. I'm all for, because it allows you to make more complex, engaging content without like it just feeling like it's hard because the game is jank. Like I quite often play this like at work in my office, and like people will say like, if I let people have a go like on the mouse and just like click around, they're like, this feels like so bad. This feels so weird. How are you playing this? And I'm just like you get used to it. Like everything's just like, 0.6. I'm not going to explain to you what the tick system is. You know a little bit more about it than me.
Start explaining it.
But yeah, like, and anything that reduces that like jank, like I'm all about. Like, so yeah, I think every change they've done, there's not one thing that they've done that I think is has been like a negative overall. I don't know, like being on like Twitter and stuff, you just see like so many like negative, like extreme reactions to like what is ultimately just like the game being made better. And I'm sure I'm going to piss some people off here, but people that have already been done the grind getting salty because someone else doesn't have to get carpal tunnel syndrome. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I'm a bit polarized about it, because earlier I've said we've got one of the most like the coolest like communities going. Like everyone cares so much about the game, but it is it is a game about the achievements. It is a game about the flex. You don't want your achievements to be devalued. But like, it's I feel like it doesn't take away from like what you've done just because other people can do it, right? Like my max, I haven't got a max cape. My fire cape is still my fire cape, like regardless of how easy it is to do a cape nowadays, right? Like, doesn't matter if you did it, in full Guthans in 2013, or you did it in full crystal with a Botha yesterday. Like, nobody cares, right? It's just a like a flex on the game. Like, ultimately you've got to be like secure about what you've done and be like, yeah, I've enjoyed my time, I've not wasted it. Like, I love this game and it's about me playing it, rather than like being bitter about people having an easier time than me. I think it's tough because like you've asked a question about mechanics, and I don't want this game to become like AFK Scape, but at the same time, like, it's a really hard line to draw between making things nicer and funner for everyone and then making the game boring, right? And I think Jagex do a great job of towing the line as things are now. But it's the slippery slope fallacy, right? Slippery slope argument.
Because what you do say is, yeah, and I would concede there is a point where things would get too extreme on it, where it would lose the sort of integrity that we're used to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think most of it, and I know you've listened to my cast, so you've probably heard ad nauseum just me going on about Gnome Cube, and just something that simplifies a 2-click action just by making it a 1-click. That's the whole philosophy behind it. It's just reducing a click, which is the same sort of thing that goes with menu swapping. Instead of right clicking and then left clicking something, it's just clicking it. It's started.
Is it Jim's rag from Yama is like
Jim's wet rag,
a specific one, that they've it's obviously not the Gnome Cube, but it's the same concept, but for a specific action, right?
I think I still Jim's wet cloth. I still have that in my bank. Actually, I stole it and still got it in my bank.
Yeah, it's I think that's like
Oh no, I can't rebank it. Oh, fuck off. Good thing I have 2 of them. You can't rebank it. Oh, that's so cursed. Okay, well, it's a good thing.
I'm sorry.
No, that's totally good. I stole 2 of them, so still got that last one in there. I can just never click it.
Yeah. How did you smuggle them out? Quick tangent. Yeah. How did you get them out?
You had to use a magic imp box.
Oh yeah. We're going to use those for black chins. Yeah.
God damn it, that's crazy. A magical force prevents you. You used to be able to bank it, now you can't. Okay, there's one last one in there, so
keep it.
Drop this one. It's over. It's over for this little guy. Yeah,
Oh
but
dear.
that, I mean,
R.I.P.
the fact that Jagex even introduced something like that to just
Yeah.
one little place, which, by the way, it's not even exactly what I'd want, because they added, you can't just simply click the cloth and then click on the next orb that's a tile away. You have to actually click on the ground first or something. You have to like click an additional time, which is
Okay.
defeats the whole purpose. Not the
Yeah.
whole purpose, but it almost defeats it. So, but the fact that they're kind of looking into that, and then the Yama horn, I
Yeah.
don't know if you remember, but the Yama horn was able to
Yeah.
cause
Yeah. That was
tick
only in the game
manipulation.
for like 2 days, right?
Yeah. And it wasn't even the full effect, because it had, even though it started a 3-tick action, you could only use it every 4 ticks.
Yeah.
So,
I think my thing with any of this tick manipulation stuff is that, like, again, I think it's cool that players have found a way to like break the game and like make things faster and make things quicker. But my thing is like it's a game set in like a fantasy universe. Like, it's probably such a weird take to the average old school player, but like, why does it make sense that you're clicking on like herbs and tar trying to fish or chop trees, right? Like,
mhm.
if that's a mechanic, there should be something in place that allows you to do it that fits the theme. It would just make so much more sense to have um like an item like the fletching knife that came out. Like, it's not obviously the same thing, but it makes fletching easier. You have to earn it, and it makes sense in the context of fletching as a skill, right? And like Jim's wet rag is the same. Like, you know, wiping your sweat off your brow is probably a bit loose, but like, you know, like a comfortable mining handle for your pickaxe, right? That makes, you know, certain things easier, right? Like, or something like that. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah.
I think like Gnome Cube is obviously like a generic item, right? But if you had like that kind of thing for each skill to make like 3 ticking easier, and maybe um like a mini quest is probably a bit much, but you know, maybe you have to unlock it through like a fletching mini game, and then it kind of explains like, not hand holding, but maybe you have to do a bit of like tick manipulation to like prove you can use it before you get it, right? Like,
Mhm.
mine however many ore in however many seconds is like a challenge in the dwarven mines or something. Like, I like things to make sense in the context of the game rather than just like number go up, XP rate's good. I'm a big one for like thematic gameplay rather than just stats and numbers, which I think is probably quite uncommon in the old school community.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to know. Maybe the
Yeah,
outspoken people.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So,
But yeah,
okay. Now, I want to ask you about what exactly, and again, this is something we've kind of already hit on, but I want to kind of go a little bit deeper, which is what gatekeeps PvM from most players. So it's kind of like I don't know, that's the same sort of thing of like, should we
yeah,
fix anything at all? Like, does there need to be any changes? Or is this part of the hurdle, the natural sort of hurdle that people should experience? Or is there something that Jagex can actually do that can help the gatekeeping? And what are the problems? That's like, what are the issues that are gatekeeping people from learning and experiencing that sort of intimidating PVM?
yeah. So I mean, you've already raised like the one of the classic ones of the like God Wars dungeon stuff, and how it's just a whole absolute massive ball ache to just even attempt to kill the boss before you even get started, right?
Hmm.
But even for, let's say, you know, we've covered that, but even for like other bosses, like the other kind of tangent you'd go down is like death fees and stuff like that. Obviously, there should be a consequence for dying, but like whether that's like unreasonable or like you've mentioned Scurrius as well, actually, which is a great one, which isn't one that I'd thought of, and just like prayer potions being like obtrusively expensive, or you know, just not appropriate for an Iron Man at that stage of their account. I think most of it comes down to like fear for players. One, of just doing something new, you know, dying, losing resources, wasting time, and that kind of thing. But I think a lot of it is, you know, I've sung old school the old school community's praises, like in this podcast. But at the same time, like a lot of it is elitism's probably a bit harsh, but it is that disjointedness between like, I probably sound like I'm hyping myself up a lot here, but like the disjointed kind of thing between the people who are like making guides and the people who are like watching them. A lot of it, you know, you watch a guide and it'll be like, you need this crazy gear to do this like simple thing and that kind of thing. And even if you go on the wiki, like it's a great resource, but like the bare minimum like stuff they offer is like, or the bare minimum stuff they use is like often like crazy for like what you actually have to be doing. And when you get into like discords and stuff like that, like when I've tried previously outside of my Discord, I found you just don't get taken seriously if you're like already a high level player. And I don't think that's unique to RuneScape. I think it's quite common across the MMO space, is like something I touched on earlier of like, oh, I suffered, so you have to as well. And I think with the game that's like about flexing your achievements and stuff, I think it's tough to have that line of like helping people to get to where you are. Because ultimately what I want from this game is, this is like completely selfish, I want more people to reach the end game. So A, the game is, you know, still alive and lives longer. And two, so I have more people to play with. Like, I think there's just a lot of gatekeeping and like elitism, and that's probably in like, you know, going to get me in some hot water with people that care about what I have to say. But like, I don't know. It's just one specific example. I had someone join my Discord, like not a new player, like firmly in the mid game, and they're interested in learning TOA. And we try and run a TOA learner at least like once a week, where we'll take whoever wants to come. And they joined my Discord and was like, oh, how much does it cost to come on a TOA? And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I didn't say that, but I was just like, where have you been that is like charging you to do a learner TOA run? And like, yeah, like I think that's like a lot more common because, yeah, I mean, I even like going through like We Do raids, like they're really helpful community, right? But like, it is a bit like they ask a lot for like just a basic learner. Like, you know, you can get into TOA in full mixed tide. Do you know what I mean? I'm not sure what they ask for, but like off the top of my head, but like, yeah, I don't know. A lot of it's gate kept behind gear, when in reality, if you just have patience with people and like help them to get to grips with the basics, they can get through any content really. Like, you know, and I think, I don't know, it's just a lot of, I don't want to get too passionate about it, but
no, I mean,
we want people to enjoy the game, and you want people to play with, and like it really pisses me off when people get like yeah, like don't help people and don't want to bring others to where they've got to. And yeah, I think
it really is pulling the rug from underneath you in a way.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
All right, I got the good stuff, and now I want everybody else to just.
I've got my scythe. Now I won't raid with anyone else unless they've also got a scythe.
And it's very.
That is like, yeah.
It's very human. It's just that idea of like, if everyone has this, then like what do I have? Like my status is like tied to, you know, me being good at this piece of content. I always think of the example of so many people were kind of having an issue with a Yama being like quote unquote too easy when it first came out. And then I kind of was just saying like, what the fuck do you guys want to just run 600 TOAs on repeat? Like, is that the kind of shit that you want to experience? Just like absolute masochistic bullshit and just for the sake of it being hard. And the more I thought about it, the more I heard from people, it really kind of ended up being, they want it to be just hard enough for them to benefit and make a bunch of money. Yeah. And for them to just barely enough for them, and then kind of gatekeeps everyone else that's below or below their skill level. Just kind of as like they're gate kept from it. They can't do it. And it really is that sort of mindset of like, you just, the way some players find content fun is by knowing that they're in an exclusive club that can do it. Like that is the fun of it for them. And it's totally human. So I'm not like necessarily blaming people for it, but you have to like rise above that mentality of thinking that that's like an important part of it. I mean, even people having freakouts over like tournament worlds having Inferno open. No, you can't have the noobs learning Inferno on a tournament world. They have to do it the old fashioned way.
Yeah, like a bit of a tangent, but on like the same topic is like, have you seen any of Reynolds' videos? He's done like the Quiver cheese and the Infernal cheese tech with like the mage setups and the Din's Bulwark and stuff, like making it like.
No, I haven't seen them.
I don't want to say like super easy, but yeah, they're just some like nice tech for like running between pillars and like stuff like that. It's all like super simple stuff, like, you know, equipped full Justy in a Din's Bulwark when you're probably going to get hit by a ranger, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like you see like the elitism of like, oh, you didn't do the Inferno the proper way, or you didn't do the Colosseum the proper way. Like, oh, your quiver doesn't count. Like, I don't know how much of that you've like seen, but like I have, like I say, I stream and I've like mentioned it, and like most of my community are like, you know, like mid game players. We have a couple of high level people, but you get the odd like lurker in stream that's like, you know, I mentioned that I'm learning it in mixed hide now, so my death costs are cheap. And then when I'm going like for a deep run, I'm gonna, you know, get the Din's Bulwark out and like just tank as much as I can if I have to. But like the content's the content, man. It doesn't matter like how you did it. Like,
yep.
And like what pisses me off is like the people act like they're like clever and better than you, and it's just like because they weren't clever enough to think of this bit of tech themselves. Like because they've done it like properly and like mechanically the best. Like we've all got the same resources. It's up to you to kind of like choose how you use it. Like
exactly.
And you know, like sorry that the simulator wasn't around when you were coming up, guys, but like it's around for me, so
you should
use it.
I mean, seriously, like we should actually just go harder on that. We should like double down and just be like, oh, wait, you did the Inferno with any armor on at all? Like,
you idiot.
Didn't fucking count. It didn't count because it would have been much more respectable had you just not worn any. In fact, wear like. Yeah, wear something that has negative. Just I don't know. Just something super stupid. Like you didn't use bronze knives for your Inferno. Well, you fucking suck.
Yeah. People just get so I don't know. Like you say, it's that pulling the rug up, isn't it? Like if you didn't do it the way they did it, and if something's being made easier since, people are salty. It's the whole devalued my achievement argument, isn't it? But like. When you think about like long-term health of the game, which is kind of what ultimately matters, like I want to be playing this game when I'm fucking 50, man. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I love this game. Like, and if you just alienate everyone that's trying to come up and get to where you are, you're going to be sat at max. There'll be nothing that comes into the game that people will enjoy because they won't want to make anything better or easier. Like, obviously, we want to avoid too much power creep to a degree, right? But like. Yeah.
And that's the same. The same thing can be said about like the, you know, don't devalue stuff just because I had to do it. It's like there still is that integrity argument of like, you don't want to just make rune crafting 2 mil an hour, and then the argument that you would use against or like for it is, well, you just don't want it to be 2 mil an hour because you had to do it the long way. It's like no. There's still balance to be had. There's still integrity that we have to uphold. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah. There's a healthy middle ground, and I definitely kind of err on the side of making things easier. But you're right. I don't want everything to just be free because it's a grindy game by nature, and that's part of what makes it fun is that long-term progress, right? If you could get 99s in a week, even like with leagues, right? I play leagues and I play it for 2 weeks, and then I'm like, oh my god, this has been so intense. I've got 99 in like a bunch of things that I haven't even got on the main game. But like, I don't even want to touch it because it's just been like so much like onto the next thing, onto the next thing, onto the next thing. And old school is like that slow burn of like, okay, you know, I can just get 50k attack XP or Slayer XP today. You know, maybe go up a combat level, and like, it's just something nice that you can do, like chip off those kind of slow bits of progress and not have to worry about like a massive plan for the future every time you come on, right? You can just get on, tick off a few things, make a little bit of progress, and it's not got to be like crazy involved, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you now about your content. It sounds, I mean, it looks to me like you just make a lot of guides and things. And I want to ask, what are you going to be, or is that kind of the route you want to go down? Are you going to branch out? And also, just generally speaking, have you noticed YouTube trends that you think might be kind of like up and coming and something you might want to get involved with? So let me hear about your future content plans.
Yeah, for sure. So like you say, I'm pretty heavily in like the guides, tips and tricks, like whether that's specific boss guides or like like how to get in the mid game, like gear you should be prioritizing, that kind of stuff. I've got like a few kind of, I've not noticed any trends, like, to be honest. What I'm noticing is that I don't want to say it's gotten stale, but like the meta seems to be it was make an area locked account and now it's make a chunk man. And now you get like the odd little interesting twist on a chunk man. But we seem to be like in like that kind of space, unless it's either like news updates or guides. That's kind of where we're locked in at really with the content. But like for me, like I am like obviously a small creator and I'm heavily inspired by like the creators that came before me. So something I was like kind of thinking about was like looking at like challenges that have already been done. Like this is like obviously a very specific one. It might not be something I ever do, but like how hard would it actually be to do like a theater of blood, like Swampletics, right? Like do that in like a Mauritania only setup. Now there's been like updates and like Nightmare obviously wasn't out when he came up. If there's any tech you could do with that and stuff like that, or like Settled again. I'm not Settled's biggest fan, I swear to God. But he did the video recently of like he killed every boss in the game in combat level order. It's one solo mission did as well. But like they're obviously good at the game, and I'm not so much. So I think it'd be interesting to like try and tackle like challenges that like absolutely like cracked players like Settled and Solo have done, and like try and give like people a bit of context to like how crazy some of this stuff actually is. Because I think a lot of the lower level people like see it and like they know it's out of their reach, but they don't know kind of like how crazy it is. So I'd like to kind of put like a lot of that into context. Whether I do it as like videos or like it's something I do on stream is probably going to be more likely. But yeah, I want to just like set myself some like crazy challenges and do that kind of stuff.
Nice. That's
so, yeah, give people a bit more context to like how crazy stuff people do in this game is.
Yeah, no,
because yeah, a lot of my people like I'm not good at RuneScape. Like I'm not good at RuneScape, but a lot of my people that watch my videos think I am. So yeah, I think it could be fun. Yeah, that's all that matters. But that's why I think it could be fun because
It's funny you say, you're not good at RuneScape. It's so much comparison. I mean, because I say the same thing. Like, I don't feel like I'm good at RuneScape. And to put into perspective, like, I literally, like, I got Grandmaster in a couple months after the release of it and stuff. And I still feel so inferior just because of how much fucking talent there is out there. Like, I feel so newbie when it comes to, like, genuine, like, PvM talent. I mean, there's seriously, when you watch Wydega, when you watch Wook's exact fucking noob type, like all these got Porkazard, it's just like you're comparing. So many people now compare themselves to the absolute best, and you got to keep in mind. I mean, I would say the fact if you have gotten a fire cape, believe it or not, I would say you're already better than half the players. Like just instantly, you're already in the like you're better than most already, and so like it's crazy.
That's why I want to tackle these like crazy challenges, because it gives like I've got no hope of doing any of this like stuff, right? Like, but I want to like try things and like make people understand like how crazy these like players actually are when they see these like, I don't want to say like meme challenges, but do you know what I mean? Like like these self restrictions that people put on. Nobody's got like really any context as to what that means for the average player. And like you say, I'm probably am above average, but like, it provides like a bit of bit of translation from like what someone that was like really good at the game, how they would say it, and then me putting it into practice as someone that's like still learning myself, right?
Yeah. Okay, so I want to ask, just kind of like wrapping up, I want to ask like what if there's one thing, like if you were to work at Jagex, what is one thing that you would want the game to start focusing on? Maybe something we haven't really covered, or something that you think would be good for the game in general. And then also, I guess I'll ask on top of that, so something you'd want to be added or some direction you'd want the game to start heading, and then something that you'd want to get removed from the game, if anything.
Oh, something I want added and something that got removed. That's something I could remove.
Yeah. And not even just like content added, but just like directionally, you know, just anything like that.
Sure. Yeah. So in regards to like a direction that I'd like them to keep pushing it, like I really love what they're doing with like mid-game stuff. I would like to see like that kind of training tools put in place for like content like the Colosseum Inferno, like more simple like wave-based stuff. Like I really enjoyed Doom, and like that's obviously not the Colosseum of the Inferno, it is just one boss, but I really like that like gradually increasing like difficulty kind of thing. I'd love to see them continue with like the delve boss structure and like maybe some more simple wave-based stuff to like tee people up for that, so they can tackle tough content like the Inferno and the Colosseum without it feeling like completely alien and punishing. I'd love that kind of thing. I like fairly long form content like raids, you know. I'd rather do a raid than a boss is what I'm trying to say, right? I'd rather spend 20 minutes doing stuff. So keeping that long form stuff coming and varying it up with the ways they implement it is kind of what I'd like to that's the route I'd like them to take. In regards to stuff that maybe I'd like them to get rid of, it's not one bit of content in particular. I suppose Nightmare Zone is a good example. Just like a lot of the like maybe slightly jankier stuff that came in, maybe not remove, but maybe polish. Like a lot of the jankier stuff that came in around like 2012, 2013 when resources were limited. A lot of it just feels a bit out of place in the game world. I'd love just to see like a little tidy up. You know how they do like they did the summer sweep up, right?
Yeah.
Of just like making things tidier. Like fucking Dominic Onion sat there with his cow outside Unil, just looks so shit. Yeah, just true. Like removing Dominic that kind Onion. Of jank, man. Like you can keep Nightmare Zone in the game as like a training method, but you know, like it'd be nice for it to have like maybe a bit more context and, you know, not just be a reskinned KBD lair. And I know maybe it's like dead content now. We've got Scurrius and the Gem Crab, but I'm sure some people still use it, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'd like removed or changed, maybe.
That's totally fair. I'm in full agreement too. Jesus Christ, the fucking like flashing pillars, little cows, little like 4 little barrels to grab your private server potions from, which is weird.
Yeah, if private server, that's something, you know. Like I say, I listen to the cast. That's something you say a lot, and that is the kind of stuff I want to get rid of. That 2012, 2013 private server, just like they were doing the best they could, but yeah.
Totally. I gotta say, I've really appreciated talking to you today. It feels like it's always just refreshing hearing somebody like you. I feel like me and you both agree on many different points, and it's kind of cool hearing from your perspective of the game, where I feel like because I've been making these new Iron Men, I'm experiencing it myself of like, okay, yeah, I really appreciate these early and mid game skilling and PvM updates. They're just amazing, but I still feel like I'm jaded because of how much game knowledge I just have over playing this game for a decade. And it's cool kind of hearing a different perspective of like never having gotten to that super end game point and being able to relate to your viewers and your people in your Discord of people that are really trying to get their first steps into content. So yeah, this has been great, man. I want to obviously
Cool.
invite my audience to check out your content. So I'm going to have all your links down in the description. So definitely go check out 10 Boots stuff, everybody. He, especially if you're kind of getting into that later game stage and you've just kind of exited the mid game, I think a lot of his guides will help you guys out a lot. And obviously with the new stuff that you're trying to make, I think it would be a great time to subscribe. But any last words from you, 10 Boot?
No, it's been a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate your time. I'm glad you've enjoyed the chat as much as I have. But yeah, no, that's all from me, dude.
We will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.